BattleTech, Dark Age Turning Points. Vega by Catalyst Games. Read by Shrapnel.
Deep Delvers Inc. Mining Site XA-12, aka Camp Kerwin. Outside Jalangin, Vega. Prefecture 1, the Republic of the Sphere. 30 November, 3133.
Chaos reigns. The legionary fell. Curls of oily smoke, remnants of a gutted gyroscope, trailed from a jagged hole over its heart. Matthias Vidar felt no joy in that.
This is the Colonel. Stand down. Remember your oaths.
Matthias Vidar knew his voice was full of desperation and tinged with regret, which probably did little to help his case. But he had to try. He was sick of killing his own men. A roar engulfed his cockpit as a loyal Balak screamed past, its heavy machine guns spewing out round after round of hot metal. The pilot was a natural, duking and weaving between the massive mounds of tailings left over from the mining operations. It didn't seem to matter to the pilot that his VTOL was taking fire from all directions. In a flash, the Balak was through the chaos, banking around for a second pass. Matthias stood on the crest of a small hill some 20 or 30 meters from the main entrance to the Kerwin mines. His Hellstar was nearly intact, with just minor armor damage incurred during the initial mad rush to safety when the conflict had begun. If it hadn't been for his self-appointed bodyguards, it would have ended right then and there. Now, he stood apart from the heart of the battle, defending himself whenever one of the traitors got too close, and trying in vain to reason with his former troops when he had an opening.
Please,
He broadcast again.
you are soldiers of the Republic. You have a duty to this nation, to this world, and to me. Stand down.
But he knew in his heart this time would be just as futile as all the rest.
Colonel, they're not going to listen.
That was Singh, the pilot of the Shockwave standing to his left. It had been Singh who had saved him when Major Yannick started this fight. Singh and the two warriors at his back.
I still have to try hard. Yes, Colonel.
Singh was a good kid. Hopefully he'd survived this mess. Matthias turned his attention back to the battlefield. It was nearly impossible to tell any more who was on which side. He easily picked out Per Yannick's battlemaster and watched as the Major triumphantly punched his metal fist through the cockpit of a one-armed ghost. The lighter mech's limbs jerked as the pilot inside was crushed into paste. Over by the water tower, a Yasha was in pursuit of the Balak he had spotted earlier. It was a graceful, deadly ballet that the two aircraft danced, with neither pilot able to get the upper hand. Any other time he might be tempted to simply sit back and watch the display of aerial skill. To his right, he saw 4 purifiers tearing their way past the armor on the leg of a blade and slicing their lasers into the Myamas inside. Hamstrung, the mech faltered to one side and crashed to the ground. 3 of the battle-armored infantry leapt away before it struck, but the falling blade reached out and slapped at the 4th, sending it spinning hard into a nearby outcrop. Every one of the dead or dying was a Republic warrior, a member of Vega's planetary militia. Dead ahead, 2 Bellonas charged towards Matthias's vantage point. He sighed at the waste of it all and steadied his Hellstar to meet the oncoming hover tanks. He watched as they drew nearer, meters counting down in his HUD. Matthias had no desire to kill more of his people, and he knew he had to give the crews every opportunity to change their minds and their course before he opened fire.
Remember, lads, we just want to cripple those tanks. Only use deadly force if absolutely necessary.
2 voices signalled their acknowledgement, Singh and Doslik. Matthias had just a second to recall that Herndon, in the Victor, had seared his throat, inhaling toxic fumes when a close call with the PPC vaporized his cockpit canopy. He took the man's confident step forward as recognition of the Colonel's command. And then the Bellonas were upon them. Proximity alarms blared from his cockpit speakers. Matthias slapped the controls to shut them off so he could concentrate. The Bellonas were fast, much faster than his Hellstar. One broke left, skirting the edge of their 4-man formation in attempt to flank them. Singh, in his shockwave lashed out with both his large laser and the autocannon perched on his right shoulder. The autocannon's high-speed projectile chewed up the dirt behind the swift hover tank, missing its target by mere centimeters. The laser struck dead center on the Bologna's LRM rack. Flames burst from the missile launcher as the tank skewed sideways and the driver tried to regain control. Just when it looked like he might succeed, a harsh series of explosions rippled across the spine of the tank. The LRM munitions did the rest of the work. Soon, the hover tank was nothing more than a shattered hulk, tumbling across the field as it expanded the last of its momentum. The second Bellona tried to speed between his Hellstar and Bartel Doslik's Jupiter. Matthias hesitated, knowing he could not fire upon the tank without risking hitting his comrade. Doslik, a giant peasant of a man with a joyous laugh and a friendly nature, lashed out at the Bellona with his Mech's left foot. A terrible crunch echoed in Matthias's cockpit as 45 tons of metal slammed into the appendage at over 100 kilometers per hour. Neither machine did well in that collision. The Bellona spun end over end through the air. Its cockpit and entire front end crushed beyond belief. Doslik's Jupiter stumbled backward as the sudden shearing off of its foot unbalanced the massive assault-class battle mech. Matthias cringed as the mech crashed to the ground, its head slamming into the large boulder. The Jupiter lay still. Singh's shockwave loped over to his fallen comrade and clumsily knelt beside the damaged mech. Matthias swallowed past a lump in his throat as he waited for news of Doslik's survival. Out of nowhere, a chill crept down his spine as if some great shadow had passed over his soul. He heard a voice come over his comms, rough and scarred and torn from the devastated remains of a human throat.
I'm sorry, Colonel.
Well, everyone, that's the end of episode 5. I can't believe we've been doing this for 5 weeks now. It's been awesome. I'm hoping that you're enjoying these as much as I'm enjoying making them. If you are, please let me know in the comments below. So I didn't even know at the beginning of this that the Republic of the Sphere was a real thing, because I've had nothing to do with Jihad era stuff. I had great fun reading about this, and the Republic of the Sphere just seems like a very King Arthur, Camelot type thing to me, so I absolutely love it. This takes place after the blackout, when the HPG net has gone down. We don't know if these rebels are supporting the new Senate alliance, or if they're breaking off their own planet, or seceding, or they're supporters of the great houses neighbouring them, because the Republic of the Sphere was set up to be a demilitarized kind of buffer state. Who knows? This is the great thing about short stories. You'll have to fill it in with your own imagination. Remember, if you like this, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, there's that other button. Subscribe if you want to hear more of these. I am trying to put one out a week. Hit the bell icon to be notified when one is released, or come and visit my Insta and see some behind the scenes stuff and general extra stuff that I'm doing. Thank you everyone for listening. Hit me up in the comments or on Insta if you want to make a request for something, whether that's a hero you want, a mech, or a particular faction. I'm going to get round to all of them, even the Capellans, I promise. Eventually I'll get there. So if you want to hear more ramblings of me with added pew-pews, then subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. And just remember everyone, no guts, no galaxy. Bye.